don't know if yins can see it, but it's a biomat. USA, USA, USA plasma center. Lord knows it's weird to hear Russell Brand say, quote, "Our Lord." It's creeping me out, but I used to listen to his podcast. It started drifting and grifting, and then when he was like in bed with Trump, essentially, I'm like, okay, this is whack, hella whack. Anyhow, not to get too sidetracked. Those places, all right, if Trump supposedly wants to cap interest rates on credit cards, that is credit card interest rates, why don't you do something about these plasma centers all across the country that are hella ripping people off? I remember payments in Las Vegas as low as $25. $25 to sit there for how long? Not only while you're having your plasma extracted from your blood, but the waiting room, the check-in process, the everything. It's ridiculous. And then sometimes they botch it. They leave you bruised up. They leave you with a hematoma, whatever it's called. I had to look it up. And then they'll want to do the other arm. They might mess up your one arm. Oh, well, let's do the other. It's like, this is, Nosferatu was redone recently. Well, they're vampires. They are sucking, extracting life force from poor people who are desperate for cash, many of whom already work full-time jobs, if not 2 or 3. So Trump, if you're really this populist of the working class and the poor of America, whom you said you don't care about in your speech, and then you immediately, the media is going to distort this. It's like, no, you literally just said, I don't care about you. So anyway, why don't you do something about the plasma centers? So Bernie Sanders, someone who actually has something reasonable and sane to say to us as Americans, mentioned the minimum wage. Well, yeah, it's insane. How could you live on $7.25 an hour? Anywhere in the country. I'm not just talking about Chicago, New York City, LA, etc. How the hell would you live off that in general? So yeah, it definitely needs to be raised. But why don't we ever talk about a maximum wage? Because look at what happens when you let people rake in billions and billions of dollars. Next thing you know, you have a literal, actual freaking Nazi migrant from South Africa in the White House. Just like there were Nazis and white supremacists on January 6th in the White House, right where Ronald McDonald chose to have his inauguration indoors. I'm sorry, America. You'll think this is a stream. You'll just think this is some crazy, unhoused guy just spouting nonsense. There are literal, actual Nazis in the White House running the show. That was a Nazi salute. I don't know what some of you apologists for the far right are talking about, or even some of you so-called moderates or liberals who just don't want to see what's plain as friggin' day. Also, in the context of other things Elon has done over the years, you didn't need to see his 2 freaking salutes to already know that he is one. He's made it plain as day in who he supported, the parties, the far right party in Germany right now, the people he's platformed on so-called X. All you have to do is just a little research and look into what people, especially black workers at the Tesla factory in Fremont, California, were enduring. Just look that up. There are articles about it. You think that came out of nowhere? It reflects who Elon Musk is. So how did I get there from plasma? All right, well, I am not going back down the plasma road. There was a time, I mentioned Las Vegas, when I was dependent on those little plasma payments just to get by, just to eat, blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump, yes, very much view Brutus and me as losers. But guess what, Donald? You've been a loser too. Biden beat you fair and square. That made you a loser. So you're back. Well, you're only back because your propaganda is good enough to fool people who wish to believe your lies. That is the fact of the matter. And there is a lot of racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, etc. There is a lot of that in America. Let's just be honest about those facts. It's not that hard to see. Even people marching in Nashville, Nazis and white supremacists openly marching in Nashville, Tennessee, for instance. Whew, it's crazy. And then the speech Ronald McDonald gave the night before the election about how Dana White, who was at the inauguration, should start a migrant version of the UFC. Literally saying that there should be this separate, oh my God. And then over half of male Latinos voted for Ronald McDonald. Oh, Tim Whitaker, you're so right. This is like,